So let's understand about operators in JavaScript. So what are they? So they are essentially a type of symbols that help us to perform some sort of math in our function, or maybe in our code, right? So right now I essentially have my file of random.js. Over here, these are the sum of the operators in JavaScript, right? So I think that you're familiar with these may before, right? So this is essentially an addition in JavaScript, right? And this is essentially subtraction. You can use multiplication. You can need to add the star sign to add multiplication, right? So this is essentially also known as operands, right? So this is the first operand, these are two operands, and we can also say that this is a binary operator, right? This is a binary operator because binary has 0 and 1, and over here we have this two values or two operands. This is also known as your binary operator, right? Or we can also say that this is a binary addition operator. It's the same sense, right? And that makes the same thing for this as well. This subtraction, we can use minus. This essentially a minus sign we can use to access the subtraction operator in JavaScript, right? So then we have multiplication, so we need to add the star sign to access that, right? So then we have the division. So for division we need to add this slash sign so that we can able to access that. And then we have this binary operator, as I already mentioned about that. So let's say we have this binary operator which is to consist of those two strings, and you want to merge them together, right? So we can also merge them by using this plus sign, so we can easily merge them together. A lot of people also tend to use a blank string, then they add essentially use this, so that essentially it's make a space between the two strings, right? So you can also do the same right over here as well. So now we have Utenary operator. So what that means is essentially these operators only have a single operand, right? So right over here you will say single operand, and we have this sign right over here, right? This sign is essentially reverts the value of the boolean. So let's say right now if you show the output, the output for this certain thing should be false, right? So you can say the output for this is false, right? So that's the main use case of this operator. Now let's move ahead and talk about your equality operator, right? So equality operator consists of this equal sign. Now why do we use these two double equal sign, right? So double equal signs is essentially check this thing in a very strict mode. Let's say if it equals to that, if it is equal then it will return as false, or if it is equal then it will return as true. If it is not equal to that, so we all know that it is equal to this, so it's may return as true, right? So maybe in some case if I add maybe like 9 over here, it may return as false, right? So that's why that's the use case of your equality operator. Then we have this less than operator. So less than operator, as we all know, that it essentially compares both of them. So if it is essentially so we know that your 2 is greater than 1, so hence is written as true, and that's the essentially use case of this operator. And then we have this logical operators. Logical operators are essentially search for say, or we can say, let's say, hey, this is a logical operator and we are comparing this and this. So this double and equal signs are also known as and, right? And these two lines we can also, they also known as pipe operator, right? So this is essentially the use case of that. And these are also pronounced or known as and, right? Or we can call this pipe operator as or, right? So that's essentially the operators in JavaScript. So let's try to run them. So we can run them over here. Let me just open the inspect. So in the inspect, let's go to the console, right? Let's clear the console, and right over here let's try to understand and let's try to test each operator one by one. So let's say we have this 90, if I add plus 10 it shows as 100, right? So let's say add let's say 90 minus, let's select 10, it shows us 80, right? So let's say, let's do the same for your star operator. Let's say it shows 81, right? Let's do the same for your division. It shows us 10, right? Let's do the binary operator for this thing, right? So let's say copy this, paste that, right? It shows us this, right? So then let's talk about this operator. So as you know that this operator essentially reverts the sign of your boolean value, so it may give us false, right? So if you look at this, it shows us false, right? And if I essentially check this equality operator, let's say if I check this, let's say hey, this is 0.1, and I check this to 1, it shows us true. But if I just change this to maybe like this thing, it shows us false, right? So yeah, that's essentially, we can use that for our program. Now let's move ahead and talk about this less than operator. So let's say we are using this less than operator, it shows us true, right? Now let's say we're going to be using this logical operator. Let's say we're going to be using this true and false, right? So it's going to return as false. And then we're going to be using this pipe operator. Let's say that's true, and let's say add false, right? False, it shows us true, right? That's how we can use these operator in JavaScript. I will see you in the next video.